Hey friends, I'm Marki, and if you don't mind me asking, how are you feeling in general about your money situation? Because I've heard a good amount of millennials in their early to mid 30s say that they regretted not investing sooner, like in their 20s, and now they feel like they'll never be able to catch up and become a millionaire someday. Well, not only is that not true, but actually reaching $1 million is more than achievable. And actually, we're going to have to make it to millionaire status just to have a decent life in retirement, especially with how wicked high inflation has been. And so what should people in their early to mid 30s be doing financially by now? I'll share my investing and money goal suggestions that I tell my friends because it's never too late to start saving and investing. And also these tips are the financial literacy topics I could think of for this video, but there are bound to be more that I haven't yet considered. So feel free to let me know in the comments if you think of something else that's good for us to know. And also if you like the idea of thinking of me as your investing and money coach, please be sure to like and subscribe to my video and YouTube channel because I really do hope that these tips will help you achieve financial freedom and have security in retirement. So thanks. And have you ever noticed how survey results commonly group people in certain age ranges, like between the ages of 25 through 34, which is what a lot of millennials are right now? And the internet has various age groupings that are up for debate, like you might either be pleased or displeased to be considered a young adult up to age 39, or you might even be considered middle age starting at age 31. And so some people could be feeling in a perpetual state of arrested development because according to the Pew Research Center, a quarter of American adults between the ages of 25 through 34 are living in a multi-generational family household in 2021, which is up from 9% 50 years ago. So that's way more people that are feeling like this extended state of adolescence, and maybe it ends somewhere around age 34. And then some millennials could be feeling the pressure to have to move out of the nest and maybe have to really get into the swing of adulthood by their mid 30s or not, up to you, #adulting. And so another fact is that the median salary for people aged 25 to 34 is $60,000, and that goes up to $90,000 for the ages between 45 through 59. And so let's say a midpoint of the salary range for people in their early to mid 30s is $75,000 on average. And so I'll take that figure and walk us through some calculations of what you might be able to expect according to what some financial websites say that we should have saved by now at this age in our early to mid 30s. And so you may be wondering if you're on track toward your retirement savings goals. And there are some ballpark figures that were put out by Ally Bank and also the brokerage Fidelity. And they both agree in using salary multiples in terms of how much you should have saved by ages 30 and 40, where they say for age 30, you should save 1 times your salary, and by age 40 to have saved 3 times your salary. So as an example, I took the median salary at age 30 of $60,000 and plugged that in. So voila, we're expected to have at least $60,000 saved up by age 30. And then if we take a look at what we're expected to have saved by age 40 at 3 times a presumed salary of $90,000, that means we should have saved about $270,000 by age 40. But then by age 50, these two figures start diverging according to Ally's projected 5 times salary amount saved. And let's say you're earning $120,000 as a salary by age 50. That means you should have saved $600,000 according to Ally. And then with Fidelity, they say you should have 6 times salary. So that would be equal to saving $720,000. And then by age 60, it's 7x for Ally and 8x for Fidelity, which means for Ally, you should have saved $910,000. And by Fidelity's rule, you should save $1.04 million. And then by age 70 for Ally and 67 for Fidelity, Ally says 9 times your salary, so that's $1.17 million. And for Fidelity, it's 10 times your salary of $1.3 million. And then only Ally has a suggested amount of salary you should have saved by age 80. So even though you've been retired probably since your late 60s or early 70s, let's assume that it's 11 times your pre-retirement income, which if we're guessing it's $130,000 when you were in your 60s or so, then that means that according to Ally, you should have saved $1.43 million by the time you're 80. And that's according to, if we use today's dollars, which if we're looking at how much inflation will impact these figures, will likely mean that we need to save much more than what these figures are telling us right now. And also, if you think about it, if you really expected to reach $270,000 of retirement savings by age 40, that means that in addition to having saved $60,000, you need to continually save another $21,000 every year of your 30s just to hit that mark. And that's assuming that you're also raising a family during your 30s. And if you're willing to have kids, that's also going to take up to $300,000 to raise a child up to age 18 per each child. So good luck trying to save another $21,000 in addition to presumably raising a family during your 30s until your 40s. So it's interesting how we have to really think hard about if we can commit to saving this much at these stages of life. And while some retirement experts suggest aiming to have around $1 million in retirement savings, the reality for most millennials is that we're probably going to need to have double that amount, or around $2 million during retirement. And so that means if we're in our early mid 30s of about age 32 and we're earning an average $75,000 salary, in reality, I think we're going to need to have at least $200,000 saved, like is shown in this example, where by the time we're 67, we might comfortably have about $2.6 million by that age. And that assumes we're getting a 6% investment return, and inflation is at about 3% and not higher. And so that's most likely what I'm guessing we're going to need to do. And in order to do that, we're going to need to push ourselves to earn way more money. And that means that we don't settle for only earning $60,000, but really earning double that, like at least $120,000 of a salary by the time we're in our 30s. And I know that can be difficult to achieve, but I think that it's a necessity for us to try to strive to reach that level at minimum, because we produce great value in the workplace that lead to productivity gains. So I think that we as millennials deserve it. And I'm not just trying to be entitled, but fully serious about the value of our contribution. So try to make sure you're earning enough so that you can also have a decent retirement eventually. And since I am all about do-it-yourself investing and money management, I don't necessarily believe in getting a financial planner, but you do you if you feel like you need that extra bit of professional help. But before you do, make sure you know what their investment track record is like, especially if they're going to advise you on what stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or ETFs and other things to invest in, because it's important that you know what their ability to invest is like and if they've been fairly successful or not, because they're incentivized to collect fees from you, and them being able to collect fees is not dependent on if you actually do well in your own investment. So make sure you're aware of that. And also, as Warren Buffett has said, if investment returns are going to be 7 or 8% and you're paying 1% in fees, that makes an enormous difference in how much money you're going to have in retirement. And as an example, over 40 years, that could mean the difference of getting $1.29 million compared to only getting less than $1 million if you're only getting 6% after a 1% fee. So keep this in mind if you're also going to follow the advice of a financial planner or advisor. And because I would love for you and my friends to be as financially successful as possible, I made the following list of my top 15 tips that you can feel free to screenshot or check out on my blog. And they are as follows, where number 1, review your assets and liabilities and total them all up. Know what your net worth is and make sure any money you have in your checking and savings accounts are earning decent interest rates, like at least 1.5% as of summer 2022. And with interest rates going up, most likely you'll be able to get even higher rates in the coming months. And number 2, learn about investing if you haven't already started doing so in your 20s, and invest and contribute to your 401k and get the employer match if offered, because it's free money. And ideally max out your 401k, where for 2022, you as an individual can contribute $20,500. And then number 3, contribute to your Roth IRA if you're eligible and max it out every year, which is $6,000 if you're under 50 for 2022. Number 4, contribute to a health savings account if you're eligible, assuming you have health insurance, and max this investing account out every year, where if you're doing it for yourself only, it's $3,650. And if you have a family for health coverage, you can contribute $7,300. And as an alternative, there's also the flexible spending account, which is not as good as an HSA because a flexible spending account is use it or lose it for the year, with the exception of rolling over some of the amount of money. But it's also a possibility if you also want to have some money set aside for dependent care or also just healthcare expenses in general. And then number 5, pay off high interest debt and loans like credit cards, student loans, car loans, because 61% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And even though that's down from 78% living paycheck to paycheck in 2019, let this fact motivate you. And even if you're eligible to get some student loan forgiveness, like you might be able to get $10,000 in federal student debt forgiven and up to $20,000 if you've been a Pell Grant recipient by the end of this year. And you can feel a big sense of relief on your shoulders, but I'd suggest pretending like the score is still 0-0 in a game of you versus debt, where you should now move on to go on the offensive of even more aggressively paying down any of your remaining debts with the student loan forgiveness windfall. And number 6, automate bill payments as much as possible. Number 7, have an emergency fund of living expenses covered for at least 3 to 6 months to a year, and balance this, of course, with your debt payments, because I know it could be a little bit hard to save while paying down your debts and bills, but try to do the best you can. And number 8 is optional, but save up for a house down payment, like target 20% of a down payment. And if you already own a house, don't be in a rush to pay off your mortgage if you have secured a mortgage rate below 5%, since high inflation is actually helping you to make money. And so you're probably making money over the long term if you have a low mortgage rate like of 2.75% or 3%, and inflation is somewhere above 8%. And number 9, get all the insurances as you see fit, like life insurance, disability insurance, long-term care insurance, etc. And sometimes these insurances are even offered through your employer. Number 10, make sure you have a will and beneficiaries listed on your investment and retirement accounts. Number 11, balance your own retirement saving and investing with expecting a family rearing cost of $300,000 to raise each child until age 18, and then even more if you pay for some of your kids' college tuition, room and board. Number 12, consider opening a 529 college savings program if you have kids. Number 13, if you still have money to allocate, consider investing in stocks or bonds via individual accounts that are fully taxable and custodial investment accounts if you have kids. One example with high inflation right now is a U.S. Savings Series I bond with Treasury Direct currently offering 9.62% in interest on up to $10,000 in bonds per year. Number 14, consider starting a business or further enhancing your skills to earn more money and develop some passive income streams. 15, consider helping your parents out in ways that aren't necessarily financial, especially if they are starting to collect Social Security and get onto Medicare. Make sure their wills, health, and home maintenance are up to par. And in 2022, the average Social Security recipient is getting about $1,669 per month, or about $20,000 a year. And if you're curious like me, you might Google, will there be any Social Security left for millennials? And the results aren't super optimistic, where we could be losing out on as much as $375,000 in Social Security benefits by the time millennials are in their late 60s, because the program will have to reduce its benefits by then. And so I say this not to discourage you, but to actually motivate you to go out and earn money and do things like check out my money saving tips video and how to save money to become a millionaire so that you don't have to depend on Social Security. And so let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear from you if you found any of these tips helpful to you. And also, if you enjoyed this video or learned something, please like and subscribe. And I wish you well on your journey to saving and investing as best as possible so that you can comfortably enjoy retirement. Till next time.